It's time to scan through by using code and first-person footage from yours truly in the most viral museum burglary in France.
Even though the official stats state that there has been 31 items being burgled in 2015, which was the peak of French burglary. And no one even talks about that. The Louvre is the most visited museum in the world, with 87 million people going there in 2024. That's an impressive stat, especially if you compare that to TwitchCon, which draws around 30,000 people at each event. And with the amount of weird stuff going on there, it's probably more questionable than this entire video. But how did 4 seemingly novice burglars use simple techniques and basically just walk in and steal 90 million euros worth of historic jewellery in 4 minutes? And use a painfully slow method of transportation to get out? It's like me using redstone to build a roller coaster in Minecraft. It never ends well. And how can we use code and stats to highlight the Louvre on what areas they need to protect, or it's gonna get worse? Hi, my name's Eamon, I'm a computer scientist, and in today's episode of What on Earth is Going On, we're diving into the once medieval fortress that used to defend the French in the 12th century, and somehow it got burgled. I wanted to see how it happened, estimated some areas for blind spots, and maybe potentially help them out, because they really need some help. Weirdly enough, I actually have footage of not only the Louvre, but of the sky where all the cameras are located. And even the exact room where the 8 items are stolen. If you zoom in here, you can actually see the items on display. This is just all a coincidence if the police nationale are looking for suspects. Apparently, it was an inside job anyway, but I'm just going to go over what I could see to show up what probably could have happened without this information anyway. Yes, their security is that bad, so let's analyze it. First off, I couldn't find an exact evaluations of some of these stolen items, because they're so old and historic you can't actually even sell them. And you know what, I'll give it to the French, the vast majority of these artifacts are actually from French history. Unlike a very different museum that I've been to. The British Museum has more non-British stuff than actual British stuff in it, which is coincidentally very British. Looking at the footage of one of the large hallways, there's roughly around 8 cameras covering the top-down view of this entire section. So based on that, we can scale that up to 200 cameras across the large open spaces of the 25 major corridors. They're 3 layers deep, so there's roughly around 600 cameras in total. Which apparently it's 2/3 of like a large Tesco. These are also conveniently placed around the most valuable artifacts. Not that it bloody matters though. Going down slowly in the footage, whether it's like the Mona Lisa, each room has one of these old school CCTV cameras that costs, oh isn't that nice, £67 for a pack of 2. Now looking through this roof footage, I couldn't see any specific cameras in the biggest rooms. And according to the New York Times, only 25% of the Louvre's 182 rooms are even covered by CCTV. So they must be only picking the heavy hitters for these £67 for 2-pack CCTV cameras. This place is a joke. The map doesn't even show you the exact locations of these big top dogs. So I even went online and found them using the Louvre's online data portal. Isn't that nice? I wonder if the 4 culprits use this to get by. It's mainly meant to analyse and understand art history across all these different platforms, but I'm using it to see which rooms are the most susceptible to another attack. By mapping out the main galleries, which is the 20 most visited and most influential sites, their rooms can be plotted on a 3-dimensional map using the most sophisticated platform. A fake version of Photoshop.
This video is purely made for educational purposes. I realise how sketchy all of this looks right now.
We're going to use this to try and see how many cameras we can avoid. The footage of the burglars was only publicly available from one angle inside of the Louvre, and avoiding corridors and the main dome, which was also covered by a ton of metal detectors in each quadrant, reveals that the second floor is less protected and only has 1 super valuable item, while the first floor is basically a total booby trap. The middle glass rooms are completely fine because they have statues that weigh at least 250 kilos, and some of these look like they weigh upwards of around 500, and I don't know how they're going to move that all the way up through those escalators. Looking through the second floor, and of course avoiding anything near the CCTV cameraed area and anything with large corridors, results us in the room 864, being the easiest room to rob. Allegedly, for educational purposes. Looking online, there's nothing about this room. It's very secretive. This room is basically just any additional knickknack that nobody cares about. Showing relevant stuff, you've got random things like, I'm not really sure what this Egyptian artifact is, and this interesting axe. The oldest item in this room is like a bowl you can eat cereal out of, and the newest room is like one of the doors off the TARDIS. I don't think the Louvre cares if anything gets stolen here. So that second floor is the easiest to rob, but looking out for the items that got stolen, including this tiara that belonged to the wife of Napoleon, guess that man, and another covered in sapphires belonging to
Queen Marie Amelie,
who had really interesting taste of hats, by the way. Honestly, I would have probably stolen them first. So quickly looking at the room that they were in, you're joking.
Not only that it's on the first floor, the booby trap level of priceless art.
Like the Mona Lisa, which is like valued at over $3 billion and is insured for over 400 million, but it's right next to one of these severe artifacts. It's like 6 foot from the Diamond de Légende. It's my best French accent, by the way. Which is a 140 carat diamond worth around $16 million. Just letting you know that would be way easier to sell. Again, this is for educational purposes only. Big quotation marks, I'm kidding. The reason the heist was done so quickly is that the Louvre is simply not built for security. It sits right next to the river Seine and behind a massive park, and you can easily get lost in, and with multiple easy escape routes. And when you're about a 10-minute walk from one of the most populous areas in the world, I'm not surprised they didn't get caught straight away. The weirdest part is that museums just aren't built for heists. They actually often have worse security than fancy jewellery shops. Like your local Rolex or Cartier dealership secures items better than the Louvre secures 19th century vases that have travelled from France to Greece to Egypt to Greece to France again. And honestly, this little teeny owl, I'll buy him for 30 quid right now. The news later found out that the main camera facing the jewellery was turned around. Wow, big surprise. How are they getting away with this? Even my fridge pings me if it's open for too long. Okay, I'm gonna close it. But the thieves probably just used a Nintendo 3DS Louvre edition to plan the heist. If you were at the Louvre before September of this year, Nintendo had a deal running from 2012, which lasted 13 years, where you could rent a 3DS as an audio guide. Yeah, even the fucking tech's outdated, but I love the 3DS, so I'm gonna defend it till I die here. And I wanted to see what was going on, but I'm not gonna pay the £13 to use the 3DS. So here's me harassing a random tourist to see what it's about.
Wow, so is it like, you can like zoom in?
Yes, you can move, you can choose the audio guide.
It's a cool idea and concept, and loads of people had one, and it even modelled the guide around the entire museum. And it's funny how 1 month before this entire security just collapsed in on itself, they decided for the audio experience needed an upgrade. But to be fair, the 3DS hasn't been a main handheld since 2017. Now you can find these 3DS audio guides on eBay, which technically means eBay is selling stolen Louvre goods. The burglars will probably just have to melt down the silver and metal and losing all sentimental value for scrap. And those emeralds that I had footage of are 140 carats just on the necklace. They just can't be sold outright because they're so specifically cut you would get found out straight away. And I'm telling you that Police Nationale money is really good. Not that I would know. You'd need to trim them down so they can't be traced, and per carat costs can be ranging from around $100 to $10,000 according to Google. Cheers guys, a massive range. But let's just say it's at the base of around £10,000. £10,000 times 140 carats, that's around £1.4 million worth of labour just to get the item sellable, which is, in my opinion, not worth it. And some of these guys are already getting caught. The getaway vehicle was comically first stolen and really slow. Not as slow as the alarm system, you can see them slowly traversing and the alarm gets triggered halfway through. They're like, oh, we need to call the police. I don't speak French, but I'm assuming it's code red. Get that GTA 5-star mission out.
Naked so the wind could just be hitting my balls and shit. Hey, bro, watch your jet. Watch your jet, bro. Watch your jet!
The Louvre will probably now have extreme layers of security in like every sections, with employees posting in each room. Sadly, the experience at the Louvre is probably going to be akin to an airport now, because it's roamed by 4 blokes just going all Ocean's 11 on us. But will the items ever be found? Coincidentally, they found the crown actually smacked with a big dent in on it because they forgot to pick it up. That's how bad of a job these guys did. But I really hope they find it, because it's ridiculous that these artifacts are stolen and can't be put onto Facebook Marketplace, where I can lowball them on a decent price. I started this video off trying to find which room had the worst security, but the fact that the item was stolen came from one of the supposedly secret rooms that had to have the most security doesn't give me much hope for the Louvre, so clearly they've shut the Louvre down for a bit. At this rate, the winged victory of Samothrace, get a load of me knowing a bit of culture, might fly away and disappear in a week. Each corner of the Louvre, by the way, had a Nintendo DS disposal area, since you're not allowed to travel with one mid-visit to avoid people stealing them, with metal detectors at every section. You'd think the museum would care more about these 3DS XLs worth around £500 than the actual artifacts themselves. To conclude, the most valuable items that are easily stealable at the Louvre are currently being stored in the Bank of France, which coincidentally I've also taken pictures and have video footage of, but this is, again, a pure coincidence. I'm just a great tourist who can't live in the moment. And with €80 million worth of security upgrades, which, fun fact, is very close to the valuation of the stolen jewellery, but we're just gonna move past that before I figured out too much. Those items are now 25 meters or 85 foot underground, so no one can steal them. Yet. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you want to see me scan a bunch of pumpkins at a pumpkin patch to find the best one, click on this video.